plans for the teen center that is going to be at Cottonwood High School, and the opening date is projected to be the first day of school next year in August. I'm so excited.
Oh, so exciting. I mean, they have plans. They have been so awesome. We're so excited. And I'm excited because it's miles from my home. And so we'll really be able to see this firsthand. And they are going fast and furious, which is so cool.
Yes. And the best part, girls, all you amazing women, is they did not let this go to the final architect review until I saw it. They asked me to be the, like, what are we missing? What do we need? And I'm a nobody, but I got to be the honored guest, and it's so awesome. It's so awesome.
Oh, awesome. Robin, you are so, oh my gosh. Okay. Let's see. I'm like, my kids are starting to call me. Thank you for being here, you guys. So grateful to have you. And so many of you who have been doing incredible things. I want to start by saying that we're going to have a couple of you share some thoughts with us. I wanted to kind of get some, some of you out in the field that are actually doing stuff to share with us, which we're really excited about. As you guys might have seen on social media, we're still going really strong with the Utah Period Project. With menstruation, we're still working on it. We're still going hard on it. I don't know if you saw, but the governor actually is put free period products into all state buildings, over 200 buildings. And so, yes, we're working in schools and got that done. And now we're in state buildings across the state of Utah, just doing these huge, amazing things that no other states are doing. So we're grateful for all of your help through the Utah Period Project when you guys leaned in then. And I do want to mention that we have had some misuse in our schools with the period products, especially lower grades. I think high schoolers understand what they're used for and how they're needed, but the younger grades were having a little bit of misuse. So we have a poster that we are making that we are going to be putting out there for your students to bring into the office and say, hey, if you guys are dealing with misuse at all, you guys can put up these posters. They end up actually not even posters. They go right on the dispenser. And it just talks about how these are needed. And if you have what you need, don't play around with them, stuff like that. So if you have heard of misuse in your school, or you think that might be a problem, it's one more touch in a positive way to interact with your school and say, hey, I work with the Utah Period Project, and there's been a little bit of misuse in some schools. And if you guys ever have that, here's a poster, a little one pager that you guys can put in your bathrooms. I want to have Mary Catherine Perry give us an update of where we are at with the Teen Center project.
Okay, great. Just to give you a quick update, we worked, thanks to all of you and your voices and your support, we worked with the legislature, and our phase one was getting an appropriation from them. So we found out the end of the session that we were able to get $15 million appropriated from our Utah legislature, which is huge. We are so excited about that amount. It was truly all of us coming together as a community and supporting that ask. And that's just the public side. That's the legislative side. And Kristen can give you the update on the other side. But we hit the ground running. As soon as we found out we had that appropriation, we met with the State Board of Education, and we're off and running on our phase two, which is where we need you all again. And so we'll get to that. But we're super excited. $15 million, which is another 60 to 70 teen centers in Utah.
It is absolutely incredible. We talk about you guys all the time. We have 378 women just like you. I think a couple of men that have signed up to be community champions in their communities, in their school, in their neighborhood. So we are able to tout that. We're able to talk about that, the momentum that we have felt from you guys, from writing thousands of postcards across the state, sending emails when we've asked you to send emails, talking to your schools. It has absolutely made a difference. It was palpable. It was, we could feel it. The legislators could feel it. You could feel it up on Capitol Hill. People were talking about it, and people were, what you don't understand is this was like nothing they'd ever seen before. Like, we were able to do something so far and above what I think people expected to happen because of the community buy-in and support. So everything that you did when you went to your pantries and then during the holidays you went and talked to them, all of those simple small things added up and 100% got us to our $18 million that we are going to be able to help 65 schools across the state. Now, that being said, I have 3 women here who are absolutely incredible, just like Robin, who led off, who have done different and unique things. And I just wanted them to each take just a couple of minutes to share what they've done, how they kind of leaned in with the teen centers, and what that looked like. So we're going to start with, who are we starting with? Elise, do you mind starting? Are you on here?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Awesome.
Okay. So I'm Elise Caffey, and I am in the Canyon School District, Cottonwood Heights, Sandy area. And I'll start off by saying that by nature, I'm relatively shy and anxious, and kind of doing some of this stuff is outside my comfort zone. So I was initially intimidated by the idea of reaching out to somebody at a high school where I don't have high schoolers about this project. But after that action email, I thought I'm going to reach out and try to figure out at the high school my daughter's going to next year, Hillcrest High School. I did some online research first. So on their website, I kind of looked around their community resources and found that they have what's called the Hillcrest Free Market. And I found contact information for the people there. And I didn't do anything fancy. I just shot off an email to both of the women on the website and kind of told them about the Teen Center project and kind of the work that the Policy Project has been doing, and said, I want to come visit. I'd love to know how to help. Just kind of really basic. And this was on a Saturday afternoon. And within 30 minutes, Liz from the pantry responded back. And she had already heard about what the Teen Center's doing, the Teen Center project. And she was so excited to have me come visit. So we set up a time for me to go visit. And she was awesome. I got her phone number. We texted. It was super easy. She met me at the school and gave me a tour of the pantry. And what's cool about their pantry is Hillcrest is a brand new school. So they thought about this as they were setting up the school, which I thought was really cool. And this is the first year. And she works full time at the pantry. And they have like lockers, showers, bathrooms, washer dryer, food pantry. They do like a weekly farmers market for students with fresh food and meat. They have extra clothes and hygiene products and school supplies. And their market is open before and after school, and then by appointment for families. And I thought it was interesting, they put in a back door for families to access during the school day, so it was more private. And then I talked to her a little bit more about how they work donations and kind of what she'd wish she'd thought through before doing this, since it was kind of a newer thing. And one of the big things was funding. So obviously this whole thing was really important because a lot of the thought on funding and keeping it going hadn't really been planned out as well. And she was realizing how much money the center needs to keep going. Anyways, after that conversation, I just felt like I left that situation so blown away by the amount of need in my community. Sorry, I had no idea how much need is in this community. And the high school's a mile from my house, and I had no clue that the road home Midvale feeds into that school, and that there's a huge refugee population that feeds into that school. So just that whole experience was a learning thing for me for this Teen Center project, but also it helped kind of give me some ideas on where my own community could reach in and kind of lift and figure out how to help. So anyways, it was an awesome experience. I would definitely recommend it. And I think having those personal experiences to then share with legislators or share with friends to help them understand why they should care, I think that really probably was the thing that helped me the most.
Thank you so much, Elise. Elise is the first one to show up, to sign up. So I wasn't surprised that she did this, but you definitely, I love when you said you went out of your comfort zone. It's not always easy to make that phone call to step in for the first time, but it's probably easier to go in the second time, right?
Yes, I feel like after I left, I was like, that wasn't hard. I could do that again. So yeah, for sure.
I love that. Awesome. Okay, Megan Hansen from Box Elder.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So at least I'm like you. It was out of my comfort zone too, but you guys, Kristen and your team were so amazing examples. And so another lady from the district set up something so we could go out to Bear River High and kind of tour and see where the needs were and where they were lacking as far as having a pantry or having anything available to them. And so that was eye-opening. And then after I knew somebody at the superintendent's office and got a hold of him and started a conversation, and he voiced some concerns, some, and they were beyond my scope of answering. And so Kristen was gracious to meet with us. And by the end of it, he was very positive and very excited about all of this. But without starting that conversation, I think he would have probably been a roadblock for us as far as having anything in there, because he did have so many valid concerns. But Kristen was able to help with that. And so that helped a ton. And then I also reached out to our food pantry, and they needed assistance. So I've joined their board so that hopefully I'll be able to coordinate between the two to help both the high school and the community. So
amazing.
Definitely out of my comfort zone too.
That is amazing. Well, and you reached out and you set up an in-person visit. So
Yes.
On our way up to Logan, we went and met you in your high school and looked at, like, that stuff is so important for the statewide effort. It's important for your school. And then you just kept going, and you were incredible. And I loved how you reached out to your superintendent. And by the way, it was not easy setting up that meeting.
No, it wasn't. All the schedules.
It took time after no, it doesn't work. You were so persistent. You kept at it. We had the meeting, and so you changed not Box Elder district not having a teen center to Box Elder absolutely having a big possibility of having a teen center, which
Absolutely.
is massive. And then at the food pantry.
And then they called and asked me if I would want to join them because they're going to go see Northridge's teen center that's opening. So I thought, oh, that's good. They're definitely excited. So, but I do have to give credit. Andrea was the one that set up the Bear River one. So I got to give her credit for that one.
Well, thank you so much. Okay. And we're going to end with Cindy Riddle. Dear new friend, these are all, well, at least I knew, but these are new friends that I've met over Instagram and that have just reached out to us. It's been absolutely incredible. So we don't have to be friends for this to happen, right? In case.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I'm a little bit of a different situation. We live in central Utah, and we are in a small school district. There's 4 high schools. What makes our high school unique is we have like 50 to 70 kids enrolled, and they have all come from the other 3 high schools. This is their last chance to get a diploma. I would say 90% of them come from a single parent home, maybe 1% of them from a functional home. In our little school, we have 7 total employees. Then that includes a principal and a secretary. And so some of them have some pretty deplorable living situations, these students do. So I started working there back in August as a refocus coordinator, and I was hired for 14-ish hours a week. I'm there a little bit more than that. And my role kind of falls under the mental health part of the school. And so it was new. I used to teach first grade. And so this was a very different role for me. So then about in October, November, Kristen started talking about the teen centers, and I kind of thought, maybe this for our school. And I kind of said to our principal and the other teachers, let's kind of watch this. This is probably going to pass. It's going to be good. And then we kind of started noticing as we got into the school year, some of the needs of the students. So we had one student who would come every day with the same exact shirt on. and it was dirty. And we found, as we got to know his story, he was living in a camp trailer by himself as his dad drove truck all week long, sometimes for 2 weeks at a time. He would come every single day to school on time. That's where he got a home cooked meal for the week, for the day. And so we kind of talked about it as a school, and our school counselor just happened to be at a family party or something one weekend. And she said to her brothers, like, if you have any extra sweatshirts or stuff, we have some students who could probably use them. And so here she came. Her brothers had gone out and asked their young men in their church congregations, and they collected bags and bags and bags of clothes. And they were nice ones, like not used. I mean, they were used, but not in terrible condition. They brought in Nike shoes, Hey Dudes, all the things. And these kids, we didn't really have a place for it, so we put them out on a ping pong table, and the kids would go through them. And at first they were kind of hesitant. But then over time, we had some parents come in and say, hey, I heard you have clothes. Can I take some? And they would take bags for their own children home. We have a couple of students that were pregnant at the time, and they would say, can I have these? I can't afford maternity clothes, and we can just have these for free. And I said, yeah, you take what you need. And so we had those girls take those clothes home. And then we kind of thought, okay, well, at Christmas time, maybe what else could we do? And so after the teachers, we all cleaned out our closets. We brought in more clothes. And then there was a few doctors in town that donated a stack of gift cards. And so we took some of those and we made some hygiene bags. Another teacher and I went down to Walmart and we just put these little hygiene bags. And I brought this one because we set them out, and it just if the kids wanted them, they could take them. I think we made 10 boys, 10 for girls. And one day I went into my room and this was what I found. I don't know if you can see it. It's just a torn bag. And the only thing left in it was just a few things. And they had stolen it, which take what you need, but they didn't want to ask for it. So they just kind of opened it up and took what they needed. So we knew that hygiene kits were going to be something. And it's interesting because the boys ones are the ones gone. We still have a few girl ones. And then the food was another issue. So every single teacher there has gone and bought groceries and delivered at times to some of our students. And we've had some donations. So we do have a small thing. We have students every morning come to us and say, I'm hungry. Can I get something? And so we have things like granola bars and Uncrustable sandwiches and things like that available. I have one boy who every morning comes to me and says, Mrs. Riddle, I'm hungry. Can I get something? And so we go find him something to eat. We make sure he gets signed up for his school lunch. And sometimes he just needs to sleep. So we let him sleep for a few minutes because he's worked till 11 o'clock or later the night before because he helps mom pay bills sometimes. So then we also have in our community, we're rural, so we don't have a ton of options for help. But a few years ago, there was a mom who was volunteering in her child's classroom, and she overheard another student say she didn't have anything to eat, possibly dog food. And so that mom put together a fundraiser, and they raised money, and they have what they call weekend bags. And so we do have that coming in from the Backpack Club on weekends. They're just Walmart sacks full of like macaronis and cheese, oatmeal, things that they don't really need a lot to cook with. And so we get about 10 of those a week, and we put those out on Fridays. And when I was putting them out, I had a student say, some students would go take them. Another student said, oh, no, I'll leave them for the students who need them. And I said, well, you know what? There's plenty, and you might as well take one because, they'll just sit here. And so he says, well, maybe I can take one for my sister. And so he took one for his sister. And then later I just walked in and just kind of sat one by his feet, and he just gave me a thumbs up, and, because he needed it. So we do those. Christmas time, we made sure like they brought in holiday bags because it was going to be a longer break. And we had teachers, some of us covered while others went and delivered to the homes of the kids that weren't there. So there is a need. We have another student who will say, can I take one for my dad? And so we give her food bags in the middle of the week because she needs them in the middle of the week. So we just kind of try to watch for those needs, and we work together, all 7 of us, and try to figure out what the needs are. And like I said, we clean out our closets, or we go buy groceries if needed. But one quick story, we had one student who, they were homeless. They were living in a car. He was working 2-3 jobs trying to help raise money for food for his siblings. And school, he was working till sometimes 2 or 3 in the morning. He was a manager at McDonald's. And he wanted to quit school because it was getting too hard. And we talked him into staying, and we tried to say, what can we do to help you? And he ended up graduating last week. So there's some success stories. But these are the coolest kids you will ever meet. Just have had a harder time in life. So
thank you. Thank you for sharing. And Cindy set up a meeting with her entire district. She brought in her principal, she brought in her superintendent, a whole group of stakeholders. And that's where the decisions are made. And that's where these things are actually, the rubber meets the road. We can raise a ton of money, but if there aren't districts willing to, one, look at what the need is, dig deep, and listen to people like Cindy doing incredible things, and then saying, yeah, we actually have to do something about this. You need these women like Elise and Megan and Robin and Cindy. And we're just so grateful. We have to have women like you doing the work and in the weeds. And so thank you. I know you either don't get paid or you don't get paid enough. So thank you so much for doing that. So phase 1 for this was, one, just starting to talk about the problem, right? We are ones that highlight a problem and then come up with a solution. So the solution in phase 1 was raising money, or getting money from the legislature. And so we did that. So phase 1 was all about talking to your schools, creating awareness, writing to your legislator, showing up to our events, kind of creating this groundswell of there's a problem and we have a solution and we're going to come together and do something about it. So that's phase 1. And we did it. We did it like beyond what we could have hoped. And we're incredibly grateful for that. So now we move on to phase 2. We no longer have to worry about the legislature. That's kind of behind us. So now we move on to phase 2, which is our local advocacy. Like we just talked about, there will be 65, give or take, 65 high schools that will get the grant for about $300,000 to put in a teen center. 65 out of 213. If you believe that your high school, your district, somewhere that you live or love or learn needs a teen center, you are going to have to fight for it, right? We don't have enough money to cover everybody. I will tell you, Robin has been fighting for a teen center at Cottonwood. And she has been talking to the principal, talking to the superintendent, showing up. Who's the first one in the Granite district, which has very high needs, and the third biggest district? Cottonwood. Cottonwood is getting a teen center. They already have the money. They got the grant because Robin has been advocating for Cottonwood. This is how it works. This is absolutely how it works. If you want to have a say in this, if you want to be a part of this, if you know that your area is, whether it's a small rural neighborhood or a high needs or has different populations, and maybe it's mental health. I'm working with Harriman right now. A big influx of refugees, but a big mental health component. It doesn't have to be that your school is like a Title I, deep poverty. Every teen is vulnerable. Every high school needs these teen centers. And so what we would like from you guys, and I hope this is clear because I know we've been like a little wishy-washy in our asks from you guys, but we do have some clear asks. And what we just saw from these amazing women is exactly what it's like. It's like, oh, well, I've never done this, but maybe I'll give it a try, because not for me, but for these kids, for my kids, for all of these kids that need this. So we would ask you to either set up a meeting with your principal, your assistant principal, your student advocate, the person that runs your pantry. Maybe it's your district foundation. Set up a meeting and we will give you like a one-pager that you can go in with, and you can set up this meeting, set up a time, and go in and say, I am with the Teen Center Project. I'm a community champion here in Logan, Tooele, Jordan, Canyons, wherever I am. And I am very motivated to help get a teen center in a high school in our district or our school. What are your thoughts? Do you know about it? Can I answer questions for you? You can be this liaison to getting a teen center there. They may say, I've heard of it. I don't know much about it. I don't understand. And we can help you through that. I hope that we are a great source of tools and education. And you're like, I don't even know what to say. We're going to help you with that. And so I'll send you some of these tools that you can use. But it would be like the ultimate would be set up a meeting with your superintendent. Do you have any kind of, and you know what, you can just find his email online. I've emailed all 41. I email him all the time. You can find him on Google. I promise you. And just say, hey, I am a mom that cares, and I'm working with the Teen Center project. Can I set up a meeting with you? And he'll probably say yes, or he'll say no, but you can meet with this person. So set up a meeting, walk in, sit down. It'll be the best thing you've done all week or all month. And you will leave and you'll be like, look what I did. This wasn't just for me. This was for these kids. Now, if that is way above your pay grade and you don't get paid, send an email. Just send an email with our one pager and say, I am working with the Teen Center Project. I am the community champions for Jordan High School. I am the advocate. I want to help. What can I do? Do you know teen centers? What can I do to ensure that West Jordan, Harriman, you name it, gets a teen center? Because I believe it's very important. So that's the other, maybe one rung down, but great as well, is write an email to said principal, assistant principal, whoever that may be, superintendent. Another couple of options, get to know your PTA. Reach out to the chair of your PTA and say, can I be on the agenda? And I know that sounds like so much fun for you. Not, I get that. But once again, it's like discomfort is so awesome. You guys, this is like the best part of life, is when you're walking into the school, like with your paper, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to present in front of the PTA. And I hope you get back to us and you're like, that was the scariest, best thing I've ever done in my life. And I'm doing something about it. I'm helping these kids, because what Cindy is telling us and what Elise is telling us and Megan is telling us is real, and it's heartbreaking. And if we don't use our voices, who is going to? And I'm asking you that. If you don't use your voice, who is going to? I plead with you, reach out to your PTA. Ask to be put on the agenda. It's awkward, it sucks, whatever. Do it anyways. I'll come with you if you're in like a mile radius, or tint it, because I'll be there next Monday. Reach out to the chair of your community council. You probably have no idea who that is. Hey, attendance lady, who is the chair of our community council? Well, it's Jenny. Can I have Jenny's email? Jenny, can I be on the agenda of the community council meeting? I'm in the community council. It's so boring. I would love to have one of you come to my community council meetings and talk about teen centers. Like, they will love it. They will eat it up. And if they don't, even better, because then you're bringing something to the table that maybe they don't know about, or you're answering questions, just like Megan brought in. She wasn't bringing like, oh, I want a teen center with the teen center. I was like, I don't think we need this. And then we came together and we changed the way that entire district looks at helping these teens. And they actually started looking at the numbers and understanding what was going on. So are we out of time? Yes, we are completely out of time. Please choose one of these things. And if you're bold enough, DM the policy project or DM me and tell me what you're going to do. Okay. I ask you to do this on behalf of every student in Utah whose mom does not have a seat at the table, does not have a voice, would have no idea how to email a principal, a superintendent, a social worker. We have to be that voice. I plead for you to do that on behalf of every Utah child who is vulnerable, including every single one of ours on this call. So thank you for being here. If you have questions, you can stay on and ask questions. And then the second thing is, and this is just like a personal thing, but I told a couple people on Instagram, because they were asking if I was doing this Joseph Grenny event, who talks about imperfect families. He's the CEO of the Other Side Academy. If you are interested and you're on this call for the Joseph Grenny talk. It's in the beginning of April. DM me or email me or get a hold of one of us, and I will send you a ticket for that because they're going to be hard to get. And so for you being here, and if you have any interest in learning from him, he's an incredible man and is doing this like a night out. It'll be a really fun night. It's like a date night, or you can come alone. But reach out and you will get a ticket to that event because I did promise that. It was kind of like a little bribery like we do with our kids. Like, come on the call and you can get a ticket to listen to Joseph Grenny. Kate, I know everyone wants to sit here because we all have to put our kids to bed or go to bed or wash our faces or something like that. So if you have questions, I'm happy to stay on for a few minutes. Thank you for being here. We love you. We need you. We cannot do this without you. We cannot do this without you. So please let us help you, team up with you, partner with you. We'd love to be on your team for this. Okay, I'll stop talking. Questions?
And I'll just say we will be sending out an email that has like kind of the asks for the next couple of months of phase 2 kind of outlined. So if you're like, wait, who is the community council person? We'll have that in an email with like an explanation and kind of the steps you can take to set up those meetings.
Yes, and you know what? Actually, if you guys are still on, I'm going to put the this is the link to the Joseph Grenny event that a lot of people are asking me about. So